All right, I think that's everybody for now. If anyone has any questions throughout, just plug them into the chat window. Sandy and Leticia would both love to get questions from the audience, and I'm happy to voice it for them. So I'm going to just introduce them real quick, and then they already have some things they're going to ask each other and have a great chat for us. So first, I will introduce Sandy. Sandy Joy Weston has been a fixture in the Philadelphia area fitness circles for 30 years as an instructor, a trainer, a health club owner, and a media personality. Her mission is to change the world one smile at a time. She believes that the best way to achieve success in all aspects of life is through positive habits. Sandy uses fitness and her gift of motivation as her tools to help individuals achieve their personal goals. She resides in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is where she's joining us from today. And just a quick preview, this is her beautiful book.
Hooray!
Yeah, very excited. And Leticia Schwartz is a Brazilian-American chef who studied culinary and pastry arts at the French Culinary Institute and who has worked at legendary New York restaurants such as the Cirque, La Grenouille, and La Caravelle. She is also the author of The Brazilian Kitchen, which won Best Latin Cookbook at the World Gourmand Awards, and My Rio de Janeiro. Leticia has appeared on The Today Show, CBS Early Show, Fox Morning Show, ABC News, and local television. She was an NBC correspondent for the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio. And we are still waiting on our copy of the book, but her and Sandy both have their copy handy. It's gorgeous, lots of fun recipes. So thank you both for joining us. We're so happy to have you.
You know what? I have to tell you something. I've never done this. I've done so many virtual book interviews. I never saw people. I never got to see them. This is so exciting. That's why I told you my friends were saying, oh, we're just going to watch the recording. They don't realize they're missing out because they could have participated. So this is cool. So thank you, ladies. Yeah. And they're all ladies, so I can say that. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here.
We're excited.
Thank you, guys.
Do you want to take?
You guys can go ahead if you have questions for each other. Or you want to introduce your books?
I think we'll introduce our. You should introduce our books.
I should?
Yeah.
Okay. So Sandy's book is Train Your Head and Your Body Will Follow, which is it introduces some ideas for goals, accomplishing goals, and for journaling. And it's not just fitness goals, it's health goals, life goals, all kinds of things she really loves to talk about incorporating fitness type goals into everyday life. And Leticia's book, Latin Superfoods, is another beautiful book, color photos, lots of recipes. And kind of similarly, Leticia really enjoys taking foods and making sure that people understand that they can have healthy food that also tastes really good and is easy to incorporate into your everyday cooking routine. So they have a couple of similarities there, and we were just talking about that beforehand. So thank you, guys.
By the way, I just want to say hi because I can see their names, Melissa, Maggie, and Sharon. Welcome. Thank you, ladies. I can't believe it. I was like, I've never done this. This is the coolest thing. That's when I said, oh, don't worry, you'll get hundreds of people watching on recording. I didn't know that they were going to be seen and be able to ask questions, which I think is going to be the biggest part. I want you to ask a million questions. So Leticia and I host a podcast called Let's Keep It Real. And Leticia was my guest. And I thought she was just amazing, wonderful, fascinating, and made me almost want to cook. So I was excited. Because it's not my jam, and she loves to work out. So I thought, let's come on together and we'll talk about things that can help you get in shape for the summer, especially because most of the people that I'm friends with, even though they work out, even though they eat healthy, a lot of my friends probably drank more. I'm just going to be honest. They drank a lot. They just did. I'm not saying they're alcoholics, but they drank a lot more wine. They ate a lot more snacks, and now they're mostly looking to either mentally feel clear from anxiety and stress or drop 15 to 20 pounds. So that's why I wanted to start this series. So Leticia, if you don't mind, I think I want to start with you. And I would love to know, because her book, by the way, which is why I loved bringing her on, it says 100 simple, delicious, and energizing recipes for total health, which that is up my alley. We all want to have more energy. So
Yeah.
what inspired you to write this specific book?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, basically, I wrote 2 books before this one focused on Brazilian cuisine. And in the course of writing my Brazilian cookbooks, I became the spokesperson of a healthy living campaign called America's Diabetes Challenge.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what put me in the track for, Latin cooking in general. I think that I decided to go a little bit broader than just Brazilian cuisine. Because I realized that a lot of people associate healthy cooking with boring foods.
Yeah, bland. They think bland.
Bland, exactly. It takes a lot of effort for people to say, first of all, there's the word diet, it's still, very used. And I feel like I know people who are, no, I'm on a diet. No, I'm on a diet. And then when you get out of a diet, it's like, oh my God, you went back to doing your old things, because the concept of a diet is very, restrict, and it's difficult to keep up. And I think that my approach to eating healthy is more like incorporate healthy habits. And I was able to be part of this campaign that was teaching, healthy habits and not healthy diet. And I think that I realized that, wait a second, there is another book in here. And I totally, I was right about that.
Yeah.
And what about you? Like what inspired you to write your wonderful book?
Well, better get a glass of wine, because it's going to take about 6 years. It took me 6 years. I'm not kidding you.
To write it?
Oh my God. So in a nutshell, I've owned health clubs my entire life. That's all I've done. I've owned health clubs my entire life, and I got to train people. I knew what worked and I knew what didn't. And I studied and studied my clients to see, why is this person getting results? Why is that person getting results? What does it have to do with their workout, with the way they're eating? And then I went a step further, and I met with, I call them the powers to be. And I met with everyone from sports nutritionists, sports psychologists, positive psychologists, neuroscientists, fitness experts. And that took a lot of time. And I wanted to figure out what works and what doesn't. And it just didn't make sense to me. Even back years ago, they told me I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I knew it all had to do with the mindset. Like, I just knew it had to do with the mindset. But everyone didn't want to hear from me back then. And I thought, so everyone that was getting results, it's because I got inside their head and I figured out what made it work for them specifically. So then I wanted to take it a step further and say, was there a tool that I could give people that would only take a few minutes every day to get them in the headset? Because not everybody wakes up pippy skippy and like, hey, let's work out, and I love life, and I have an amazing body. So I went and I spent a year creating a journal type book that it would take 5 minutes a day for people to write in, to refocus their brain, to really just focus on that one word, that one statement, to get them in the right mindset, not just for their body, but for everything. And it failed. No one did it. One person did it in a year. And I went back to the drawing board. I went to my professors and I said, oh my God, I spent a year of my life. And they said, of course, no one did it. No one's going to take 5 minutes to improve their life, no matter what you tell them, unless they've already created the habit. So now make it 1 to 3 minutes, and maybe they will. So I went back and crafted again the same, journal, and I made it 1 to 3 minutes, and the bugger was right.
Wait, so are you saying that 5 minutes was too much?
If if you're not already having that habit of being able to focus your mind in a positive way to reach your goals, to convince you, hey, all you have to do is write in your journal 5 minutes and this is going to change your life, I promise. People weren't willing to do 5 minutes. It seemed too easy. They seemed so skeptical. This can't be true. Like, how can me writing in it make a huge difference? Now, years later, science is caught up and they know the power of writing things down and they realize it. But still in all, if it's more than 1 to 3 minutes, they won't do it. You're more likely to create that habit. So the thing I created is, it's a minute in the morning at most, a minute at night. It could possibly take 3 minutes, but it's created so that you develop a plan that only takes 1 to 3 minutes. And that's what I wanted. And when I did it, I was inspired by all the people I interviewed. I interviewed people that I believe exuded pure joy. It didn't matter if they were a mom, a dad, a CEO, a multimillionaire. I just wanted to be around them. They exuded joy. And I wanted to see, well, what is it they did? And coincidingly, all those people, every single one of them, every morning before they started their day, they did something to get themselves in that positive headset. It didn't matter if it was an hour of meditation or 3 minutes. It didn't matter. It was, some of them baked cookies. Some of them sang songs. Some of them played jazz music. Some of them made lists. Some of them journaled. It wasn't the same thing, but they decided this is how they were going to show up in life. They didn't like just life happened. Yeah, they came downstairs, kids screamed, blah, 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 blah. But they all did something every single day to start their day in that way. So that's why it took so long, because I wanted to validate, like, is this true? And what made them exude that pure joy? Because yeah, they had crap happen and they had negative thoughts, but they reoriented themselves back. Everyone doing something different, but they still had their system. So that's why I never thought I was an author. And here I am. Like, I wrote the book and now I've written a journal. Now I just wrote a journal for kids 8 to 12, because I know it seems so simple, but just taking those few minutes every single day to figure out what you want and how you want makes a big difference. Versus, I don't want to eat chocolate anymore. I shouldn't eat sugar. I'm cutting out wine. Well, guess what? You're going to probably drink more wine. You know, so it's just shifting the way you think of it. So
that is fascinating.
That's a long answer, but I want to get to you. But that is what inspired me to do what I do. And I keep doing it. So it's fun. I love it. And I love showing people that it doesn't have to be painful and overwhelming, but until they give me 30 days to show them, they still doubt it. I'm like, no, go back to it. No, it's not foolproof. Of course, you're going to get pissed off, angry, eat a bunch of Oreos, but it gets back quicker. You know what I'm saying? Think of you. Think of what you're doing, Leticia. You love cooking. You love cooking healthy. You love cooking food that makes you feel good, right? You have that habit already in your life. You probably, this is probably just fun for you.
Yes, absolutely. When you incorporate something and it becomes ingrained in your veins, it's not work, it's a pleasure. You know, and I think that the way that I treat cooking is the way that you treat exercising. You know, there's almost like a component that is beyond the act of cooking. It's almost like, for me, cooking it's not just the act of chopping or sauteing or braising. It's more spiritual. You know, there is a certain connection there that I feel that goes way beyond what I'm doing. And I wonder if you feel the same with exercise, you know, because it comes easily to you as well.
For me, I love to be outside. So it's not like I won't work out with weights and all that. But when I'm feeling spiritual is when I'm on my bike in the woods. And I don't mean just mountain biking off cliffs, but when I'm on my bike in the woods, that's when my best ideas come. That's when it's meditation to me. Also, I dance. So I started these things called Dance Reset, that every hour I get up for a minute and dance. And I told people, because I know they were getting frustrated, they feel like it's Groundhog's Day, just in my clothes. I start posting it too. I look like a doofus, but I just get up and start moving for 1 minute. It's not choreographed, but when I dance, I'm on another planet. And I told my friends, like, find what you love. So my girlfriends were like, oh, it can't work. I'm having too much fun. And it's that fallacy. Oh, it's got to be painful. That's bull crap. And I finally had a girlfriend, she came over, she lost all this weight. And I said, how'd you do it? She said, I started dancing. I said, I'm going to kill you. I've been trying to get her to dance, but it wasn't painful. So she didn't think it could work because it was fun. Isn't that whack?
Right, right.
Like for you, chopping is probably therapeutic and you're getting with the veggies.
Yeah.
When I start chopping, I want to just throw the whole thing out the window. It's like, and then I go, what the hell am I doing? I'm going to Whole Foods and getting this because it's just, for me, it's just not there. Like I don't,
Right.
I don't have that yet. Now my husband, he does a lot of the cooking, and when he does it, he's a happier person. So why even try? I say, I just gave him his cookbook, you know?
Right. You just delegate it. Go ahead and cook.
But I'll tell you what, I want to make sure I ask these questions because I got a bunch of questions that people had sent me when I told them you were coming on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they're saying, okay, they know they should cook these fun meals, these different meals for their family, but they're hitting burnout. They feel like it's the same old thing. They're drained. It's like, here we go again. They have the same 3 meals or 5 meals they cook over and over again, or they get takeout. How can they get out of that mental COVID rut and get excited about recipes that won't take 3 hours to cook?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the common question that everybody has. It's exactly that trap that everybody falls. I think that one of the things that I try to do with Latin superfoods is to show people that you can turn ordinary ingredients into something very interesting. For example, when you think about a cucumber, okay, my husband, for example, when he cuts a cucumber, I look at him and I'm like, what is he doing with the cucumber? He just cuts it and he eats it. And I'm like, why? Oh, because it's healthy. So I see that this is very common. A lot of people, they force themselves to eat a cucumber or a tomato or a salad because it's healthy. The way that I look at a cucumber, you too. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I ate it. Got it.
Exactly. It's almost like, oof, okay, no, I eat healthy, so now I'm going to eat something else, but my cucumber is here, right? And the way that I look at cucumber is not any different than the way that I look at any other. And of course, I'm using the cucumber just as a metaphor, that goes for all healthy ingredients and unhealthy too. It's almost like I try not to create a division between this is healthy and this is not healthy. I look at everything and I say, what can I do with this to make it more interesting? So for example, in my cookbook, there's a salad that I call it addictive cucumber salad. And it is so delicious. It is so good. It is addictive. Basically what I do is very simple. I put salt on the cucumber. I let it drain in a colander, and then the cucumber automatically becomes crunchy and tasty. So there alone, you have a more interesting cucumber. And then on top of that, I do a little vinaigrette. I do a little crunch of toasted quinoa. And then all of a sudden, something that is so boring, or people have it as boring, becomes, a more interesting and exciting recipe to eat. I do the same thing with broccoli. When we think of broccoli, we think, okay, you're going to steam broccoli. Is that really, I see a lot of people doing the same thing with a cucumber. All right, you eat your steamed broccoli so that, okay, check, ate my vegetables.
Yeah.
But there's no excitement at all coming from eating that piece of broccoli. So I try to incorporate ordinary ingredients and make them exciting. So in the broccoli case, for example, I made a broccoli fajitas. I put them in a whole wheat tortilla, and I make a vinaigrette, and I put, a little mustard sauce, and all of a sudden broccoli becomes like, oh my God, this is fantastic. I'm not eating this because it's healthy. I'm eating because it's delicious. And that's what I did also with my kids. Now my kids are 18 and 20. And growing up, I can't say when they were small, because when they were small, they were just like any other kids. They wanted their mac and cheese, they wanted their chicken nuggets. But as soon as they started to, I would say around, I can't remember, there wasn't a line, but around ages maybe 10 and 12, they started to open their minds. And throughout their teenage years, I brought them into the kitchen and exposed them to interesting things that were so healthy and delicious. They didn't know it was healthy. They didn't eat this addictive cucumber salad saying, oh, this is healthy for me, that's why I'm eating. They just eat and they ask for more, because it's delicious. So I think that this concept that, healthy foods are boring, we need to learn to make interesting things with them.
I'm thinking I'm kind of a hypocrite here because I'm saying that I can't get people to realize the 1 to 3 minutes a day makes a huge difference. And it seems that what you said to do with the cucumber, it seems so simple that right, like, these are little simple things to decorate up my cucumber and my broccoli that don't take long. And it seems so simple, I don't even think to do it. And how could it taste so great? Do you know what I mean? And so I'm listening to you and going, holy moly. Like here I am at my age, never thought all I have to do is that. Because you think in my brain, my belief system, it has to be complicated to taste good and take forever.
It doesn't have to be complex. That's another stigma. I think that once we manage to destroy our stigmas and our myths, then we can open our minds. Those are the prejudgments that we have, and that society and media, we're all trained to read certain things. And even though we read them over and over again, it's just different words saying the same thing. But it's all about, comfort food and braising. And what if you have comfort food that's going to take 5 minutes, instead of 3 hours? But I also feel, Sandy, that one of the things that I wanted to touch the point with you, instead of 5 minutes, 1 to 3. I think that what we're saying here is that it's about small changes, or changes that don't take a lot of time, or changes that don't take a lot of effort, and whether you're journaling for 1 to 3 minutes, or whether you're dancing for 1 to 3 minutes. But even that little has an effect and an impact in the rest of your day.
Yeah. And even moving it forward, though, what I'm saying is, if someone doesn't have the time or doesn't enjoy cooking, you don't want, the same thing with fitness. You don't want to say, that's what people fail about. You don't want to be a couch potato and then say, okay, that's it. I'm going to get in shape for the summer. I'm going to work out an hour every day. You're not going to, and you're going to fail. So I don't know if we're allowed to say ASS here. Are we allowed to say ASS? Maybe. Okay. So
I put the recording on like adult only.
Okay, well, it's not. I call it, my friend actually gave me this idea, this young kid. I call it BAM. What's your bare ass minimum? Your brain needs.
I love that.
It's not bad, bare ass minimum, but your brain wants to see success.
Right.
If you say, what's the bare ass minimum I'm going to do? I'm going to move for 1 minute every hour. I'm going to move for 5 minutes. I'm going to chop vegetables. That little thing. The bare ass minimum, I'm not going to say I'm going to cook every night, because it's not going to happen. But my bare ass minimum that I can admit and to myself and make a promise is, I'm going to do your cucumber thing. That's my one thing this week. And then next week, my bare ass minimum, I'm going to do a broccoli thing until I make it a habit. It will change your world, because then you don't feel like your body, it does connect, and there is an energy that's felt of success. Now, if you go beyond your bare ass minimum, awesome. You worked out 30 minutes that day, 20 minutes that day, 5 days a week, great. but you want to say, I can commit to walking 3 days a week, doing this, I can commit to eating 50% vegetables, like as far as what you're doing, like what is it that is slightly out of your comfort zone? Do you know what I mean? So if it's cooking or a new recipe for the family, I probably would be so excited that I just tried something new cooking. And then it wasn't like last night, the damn boring broccoli. I steam it. I fill the plate with it. I said, bless the food, but it's still boring broccoli,
Right. Right.
And that little things can make a huge, huge, huge difference. So when you're talking about, let's just back up here. Like I get that there's little things you can do, but is there some kind of trick or time maintenance thing so that cooking is not as long every night? Or is it most times it's going to take at least 45 minutes to an hour?
No, there are some tricks that I like to do, and I wrote them in my book, Latin Superfoods, but I do them every day. It's almost like I really cook from my cookbooks. I even though they're published and even though I wrote them, I actually use them, and that's so natural to me. I try to pick one day of the week that I prepare foods. Now, preparing foods is different than cooking recipes. For example, there's one recipe that I find that it's the pinnacle of that definition, which is salata caprese. The Italian, you cut mozzarella, you cut tomatoes. Is that a recipe?
Can you say that again? That is
salata caprese. Or insalata caprese. I think that in Italian, it's more like insalata.
I don't even know what you said, but it's gorgeous.
It's that classic mozzarella and tomato. Okay. And you dress with a little bit of vinaigrette, you dress with a little bit of oregano, or olive oil, salt and pepper. You can garnish a little bit, but basically that recipe is the great example for me of the difference between preparing food and cooking recipes. When you cut tomatoes and you cut mozzarella, for me, and that I am a trained chef, for me, that's not cooking, that's preparing food.
Gotcha.
And if I want people to prepare foods rather than take out. If you can go one step above preparing foods, then you're cooking recipes. That's excellent, which is, let's give it an example. Grilled chicken with salt and pepper and olive oil on the grill. For me, that is preparing foods. It's not a recipe when you grill chicken. You put salt, pepper, olive oil, and you put it on the grill. That's not a recipe. You're just preparing foods. So the reason I like to bring that up is because now,
but I get you.
Now, for example, in my book, I have a recipe that is grilled chicken legs and chicken thighs with an orange sauce. Now that's a recipe.
I understand. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So what I like to do is I usually pick one day of the week. And for me, usually that day is Sundays to prepare foods.
Yeah.
And then during the week, I cook, but it only takes me, I want to say 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, because everything is already prepared. So my chicken is grilled and my pasta is cooked. So what am I going to do? I put them together. I do a little bit of maybe shallots, olive oil, parsley, and I put together the chicken, the pasta, and some herbs. And then I have, a beautiful recipe that's pasta with chicken. And maybe I did some broccoli as well. I steamed broccoli, pure. But then when you bring them to a recipe, when you bring the broccoli.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is prepare foods. And then once I assemble things, then it's more like, okay, now the recipe is really interesting and delicious, but I have everything prepared. I do spend, I would say, anything between 3 and 4 hours on a Sunday afternoon, and I make my chunk ahead of time. And other little things too. For example, sofrito. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that word. Sofrito is really, it's kind of like, it's not a recipe. It's just cooked vegetables. But basically, I'm talking about garlic, onions, and tomatoes, maybe a little bit of herbs and spices, like paprika, oregano, nutmeg, etc. So you make a base, a foundation to flavor everything. So let's say I'm making a pasta with the cooked pasta that I did on Sunday, the grilled chicken that I did on Sunday, and then a little bit of sofrito that I just put it in a container, and then it's the flavor is all there. So it's having those things ready, for the week ahead, and I do another thing that I do, and I've written extensively about it in magazines, in my blog, in other websites, is about chicken stock. Like, people think that chicken stock or veal stock is such a restaurant thing. And I try to show the home cook that, don't ever, if you buy a rotisserie chicken, don't ever throw the bones away, because those bones, they have so much flavor. All you need to do is throw them in a pot, put cold water, and let it not boil. You bring to a boil, but you don't want to really boil. You want to just simmer for about 30 minutes. And
is this in your book? Because
it's in my book. Yep. And it's in my blog. I made a blog post for chicken brodo. It's really so easy. I kind of like threw away the idea of the restaurant style chicken broth, with the mirepoix, which is onions and carrots and celery and herbs and this and that. And instead of making a whole big deal out of making stock, I just put the bones in a pan, throw cold water, and that's it. I think that there's so many, it's so easy, and you can freeze that. One of the biggest differences, so many people say, oh, but really restaurant food is so much better than home food. And I think that if there's one item that differentiates restaurant cooking from home cooking, is the use of chicken stock. And I'm not talking about the chicken stock. I know that today the market is crowded with versions like Pacific. It's one off the top of my head. There's another brand called Collage Inn or College Inn.
Yeah. I've seen it. COLLAGE. Yeah.
I don't know. Is it College or Collage?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but you know what I'm talking about. The broths in a can.
Yeah.
But those, if you make your own, it's so much better. Now, talking about making your own nowadays, I think it started maybe 2-3 years ago. Now we're start seeing these homemade versions, chicken broth or beef broth in the frozen aisles of the supermarkets. Yeah, it's a lot more expensive, but if you don't want to make it at home, it really does, great. It brings your cooking up by 1,000,000 points.
Wow.
It brings a lot of flavor.
See, that's something simple that can make a huge impact in your life.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, listen, I want to talk just a little bit about, we were talking about mindset at the beginning, and that it doesn't take long. And even I was saying, oh my gosh, I'm a hypocrite, because not a hypocrite, but thinking about the little things I can do just to make something more flavorful. I've already had the mind block about the cooking. Like you said, it's a belief system that it has to be difficult to taste good. And I think the main overall thing that I wanted to get across about training your head and your body will follow is, we know it, but we still get caught up in it. Your brain doesn't like change. It just doesn't. whether it's good, bad, ugly, negative, positive, fearful, it wants to keep doing the same thing.
Mhm.
It feels as if it's safe that way.
Mhm.
So when you introduce change, as soon as you go to put the change into it, your brain goes, oh no, oh no. And they've proven it. I don't think they say it like this, but it's what happens. Your brain doesn't like it. And it
Mhm.
puts all these fearful things up, even if something's going to benefit you.
Mhm.
And it wants to stop you, from doing this new thing. And you're right, all these things change in your body. And that's why the little things you tell yourself, the beliefs you have in your head, you want to just listen to them and say, is it serving me well? Or is it not serving me well? That's all. Is the thoughts I'm having, is this belief system, whatever thought. And you can tell if you just stop for a second, if it's serving you well or not. It could be creating, it's either going to be, you have two options. It's either coming from love or fear. There's no other option. So there's lots of stuff over in the fear-based and a lot of stuff. So if it's fear-based, you acknowledge it. But when it's love-based, you know that whatever it is that you want to do, those thoughts are serving you well, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And you have to just take a deep breath in and allow yourself to say, it's okay that I'm having these thoughts. It's okay that I'm doing this. These are just patterns that you've had in your head. That's it. It's just a belief system. Like, what they say a belief is? The thought you just think over and over again.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when you are able to just not beat yourself up, not be mad because you're doing something, and tell yourself, this is just a habit. That's why I tell people, don't get mad. It's just a habit. Don't
Get glad, right? Isn't that the commercial?
a big hairy deal. It's just a habit that you've done over and over again. And it's going to take a little time depending on how long that belief system is. Like, a lot of people believe, even though they won't admit it, they don't deserve to be healthy. They don't deserve to be happy. Having that ideal weight for them is impossible. That's for other people. And the more they didn't see success, they build it up. And what I try to do is break down those barriers and say, forget all that. All right. Don't be upset. Don't be mad. These are habits you created. It's that easy. It's that difficult. And the sooner that you start breaking down, well, does this habit, this belief serve me well? No. How can I change that thought pattern? And that's what I was thinking about what you're doing. So for you, it's ingrained how you do things too, just like me. Like, I love dancing. I love working out. I love biking. All those things I know makes a huge difference. There's not a day goes by that I won't journal and focus on what I'm going after. And I sit here and I look at it and I say, will this bring me that? And I'll just say, what am I going after today? Pure joy, courage, confidence. And if I write that letter, if I do that email, if I go on that presentation, is it going to bring what I want to embody today? So it could be, I just want to inspire people. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We overcomplicate it. So my big thing, once I met you, I changed up my power statement is I want to eat and move to feel and look good inside and out. I want to eat and move to feel good inside and out. That brings a whole nother meaning to food for me. And it may not be today, but I keep looking at it. Is this going to help me reach what I really want to go after? Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
And it's those little things that even the powers to be, now they're so much more familiar with how the brain works. They will tell you it's little by little, those slight changes. Like, and that's why we're talking about food. If you write down, I'm not going to eat this, I shouldn't eat this, I'm going to cut that out, it's not positive, it's not powerful. But if you write, I enjoy cooking, I love cooking foods every other week that make me feel good, I love making vegetables taste good, man, it's fun to work out 3 times a week. Do you see the difference in the statement?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, can you elaborate a little more about the power of journaling? Because I think that a lot of people, we hear often, we read about it in articles, but how has it changed you? writing every single day. And how long do you write for? And do you pick like 3 things? For example, I know that, and I started to do that once I started listening to, you know, the Super Soul conversations with Oprah Winfrey, how she said you really want to, you know, list at least 3 gratitudes for every day. And I started to do that. But I wanted to ask, from a person that has been doing for a long time, I started doing just recently. How has it changed you? And what's the impact in your life?
Sorry to interrupt real quick.
Okay.
After you answer that, Sandy, could we take a few questions from the audience?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't realize it till I got older, but I've been doing it my whole life. So I came from a really difficult childhood, you know, a lot of mental illness, a lot of poverty, and that I would be happy that, hey, just be happy to be alive. And my life has been so beyond blessed. And I didn't realize it, but as a child, I would tell myself, just focus on one word. And I would pick, who knows why, I would pick a word and I would focus on it. And I would just want to embody that, and I would come back to it. And then I would move and I would use my dance. And the third thing is I would journal. And sometimes the spirit moves me and I write down every negative thing in my head and I get it out and then I put a big X in it. But that's not every day. That's only if there's a lot of stuff crawling around in there. Sometimes I'll journal because I'm inspired and it's creative. But the one thing that I do every day is that a minute of how do I want to show up in the world? What's my power statement? Like I said, creating a statement that inspires you. It could be bring it on. I am ease and flow. Like I am courageous and confident. And looking at that, and I do believe in gratitude, but not forced gratitude. So yes, I think about all the things I'm grateful for. I send good thoughts to people every single day, but I don't feel like I have to. It's not forced, because it's important to understand that you don't want to just feel like you have to be happy every moment. Yes, I've trained myself to get out of there quicker, but you also want to notice, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I feel hatred. You don't want to deny those. So sometimes I call it scribble scrabble. It's a lot of stuff in my journal, and sometimes it's not, you know, it's just a matter of the day. But they do know that at least 40% more people reach their goals by writing it down. Even if you don't want to get all spiritual about why you stay more connected, why you're more likely to show up in the world the way you want, why you're more likely to reach your goals. They know 40% more people will reach their goals just by looking at it. There is something that happens in the brain, it takes in the body, and you keep going back to it. So that's why I said, yes, you might want to write your ideas when you get really creative. You might want to write your ideas when you're really sad, when you're upset, when you're in pain, when there's things in the world you can't control, just to get it out. But the most important thing is that little focus. And if you don't do it in the morning, you haven't created the habit, okay, do it whenever. Then some people say, Sandy, some of my clients say, I haven't created that habit yet. I said, okay, don't beat yourself up. Do your journal in your head. Do you take a shower? Do you wash your face? Do you go to the bathroom? Just take that minute and do it, and do a breath for a minute until you get in the habit of writing it down. So
that's a good one. Yeah, just make it a habit, just like brushing your teeth.
Right. Like, so if you're not writing it, oh, by the way, there's things for the shower. My son got me something that you can write in the shower now. It's awesome. But then just breathe for a minute, and that deep breathing will settle you back, because so many people are anxious and overwhelmed and feeling so many things that they have no control of. Everyone is. So just even doing it when you're in the bathroom alone for that minute, or reminding yourself, yeah, it will help if you journal, because like if I'm in a meeting and I start feeling like they're not treating me well, like I'm in negotiations and I feel like my power, I'll focus on what did I want to come to the meeting with? Courage and confidence. And right away I go, and I shift my energy, because it reminds me how want to show up. But we better get to questions because I know
We gotta get to questions. Let's go.
Okay, we have a few, but everyone who's mentioned so far said they've been really enjoying the conversation. So I think if we can't get to a couple of them, that's okay, but I'd like to get to as many as we can. Sharon asks, I'm curious about what differences you've seen with people's habits factoring in the COVID funk. And I think that could address both of you if you've seen different habits with cooking or with exercising and goals.
Yeah. As much as you would think with COVID, people had time to exercise more for the first few months they did, but the majority of my clients, then it was like they went the opposite direction. They had the feeling that it was going to be for 2 months. And then when it went to a year, even though they may have had more time originally, people found ways to be busier at home because now they can work from home. So there was no separation between church and state. Plus, feeling they deserved it, they would eat more comfort foods and drink more wine. And I get it. And so now that like I said, I think a lot of my clients put on weight and mentally felt in a funk. Now that it's been a year and the seasons are changing and there's hope at the other end of the tunnel, I can see the shift of them coming out and saying, okay, what are some things I can do? How can I get back in the habit of what's a workout I can do in my home? I still don't feel safe to go to the gym. And you could get a full workout just with your freaking body. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm seeing. And I see March, I have a lot more hope for the people because I can see that they have hope in themselves. And that's the biggest difference. What about you, Leticia?
I think that I saw a big surge in the interest for cooking. A lot of people that never cooked before, when the pandemic hit us, it was like, oh my God, I need to learn how to cook, which I find it's a big silver lining.
Yeah.
I love that. Very different answers, but really wonderful. And hopefully people will stick with both the cooking and the exercise habits that they picked up. Melissa asked a couple of questions. One of them was, what is your experience? I think this one was more towards Leticia, but both of you, if you'd like. What is your experience with working with single moms who work? I'm a teacher and I come home exhausted. My son and I love to cook, but we only manage to do it on the weekends.
Yeah, I would suggest trying to do that, weekend preparation. Use the weekends not just as a time to enjoy the cooking, but to prepare foods for the rest of the week. If you can grill a couple of chicken thighs or chicken legs and, prepare some vegetables, cook some pasta, maybe cook some, brown rice, then all of a sudden during the week you can put together like a arroz con pollo, which is a recipe that I have in my book, Latin Superfoods, but really is rice and chicken, but flavored with lots of things. So yeah, I would try to try to incorporate that, and also use a lot of herbs and spices throughout your cooking and your preparing foods. I think that it really does change, it's like a beautiful perfume into the food that people don't realize.
I have an herb garden.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
So another, just a side question to that, Leticia, is herbs and spices. Melissa also has some issues with not using too much salt in her food. So is like herbs and other spices a good alternative to achieve flavor? Do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the reasons why I really encourage people to use more herbs and spices, because the more flavor like aromatic your food is, you're not going to miss so much of the salt. You need just a dash, but yeah, try to use herbs and spices. You're going to see that you need a lot less sodium.
That helps a lot. Thank you. This one is for both of you guys. I think Maggie is mentioning kind of combining some of your ideas. Can the two of you see this habit of daily journaling a path to helping people learn to be effective meal planners?
I'm so glad you asked that, Maggie.
I thought you'd like that one.
Look, so as a sequel to my book, people had asked me just to do a journal, which there's 2 30-day journals in here, and with just a little bit of explanation without wanting to diet. So I put, I don't think maybe you can see it, but it says plan, meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, snacks and beverages, and what the plan is. And that's a way for those who want to think about what they're eating. There's one page.
So it's almost like a food journal.
Yeah. So one page is food, you know, and then the other one is the power statement and the action statement and their visualization. Some people don't want this side, you know what I mean? So I say, at least do this, which is the power statement, your action, your word, your breathe, your daily. But for those who want this, and then at the beginning of each week, it's the same thing. There's a spot to put in your plan.
Love
So
that.
for the food. So for some that want to think about like what they work, their planner, they can think ahead and they can write down. I call it scribble scrabble, but that could either be for your fitness or your mental or your food, what you're eating. And a year later, I can tell you people really enjoy that food part, because I didn't know how to put it in, Maggie, because I was like, I don't believe in diets. You know, some people are vegan, vegetarian, there's healthy ways of eating, but this solves the problem, you know? So Leticia,
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I love that. I journal every day, but I don't journal about food. I think that maybe we should all think about that too. Journal, food journal.
You already create the habit of it. So do you see what I mean? You don't need to. It's like, if, let's say I don't need to journal about working out because it's so ingrained, you know, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to focus on other things. You know, I focus more right now on clearing my head, meditating. I'm not good at meditating long, but making sure I meditate a minute or 90 seconds every hour if I start getting anxious or overwhelmed, not being able to finish my projects on time. So that's my big thing that I haven't created a habit in yet, you know.
But it's important to nurture the habit. It's not just because you have it like, oh, okay, that's easy for me. I mean, it's something that we all need to work on.
Yeah.
You know,
but it may be higher for you than others. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you want to work on it. Maybe you do want to cut something out, but you'll know. Some months will, some months, you know.
Melissa said she likes to write down her menus so she can refer to them when she's shopping. So maybe that's like kind of an aspect of journaling. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's cool.
I think that's lovely. Yeah.
Perfect. One more. Is it okay if we do one more question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I don't want to keep you guys too late. Maggie had another question for Sandy this time. It seems as though success is a drug of sorts. Are you saying as we get used to having successes and achieving our bare ass minimums every day, we will get addicted to the positive energy that creates, and the energy will help us sustain and increase our bare minimum level?
You know, it cut out a little bit. I hate to make you say it again, but can you say it one more time? My internet cut out.
She was saying, like, when you achieve your minimum, does that success give you enough positive energy to create like a higher level of minimum?
Maggie knows what she's talking about. Yes. So you want, even at the bare ass minimum, but even at the basic level, you need to see success. You feed off of, wow, I did it. Like people, even if you want to look at, I never did a push-up. I've always done a push-up on my knees. And now all of a sudden they can do a push-up military. It's like, whoa, they saw this huge success with their body. What else can I do in my life? I mean, so like when you accomplish things with your body that you never thought possible, it just builds on it and builds on it and builds on it. So that's why if you put down, this is the little thing I'm going to do, like you said, and you've reached it. And then at the end of the week, you go, holy moly, I've consistently did even more than that. You're going to up it versus feeling discouraged and feeling like I can't reach these goals, because most people, their goals are way too high. They're just unattainable. You know, they can't it's like just too impossible, especially with the body. But here's one thing I want to make sure I add in. A lot of people, when they're setting up goals, they'll be like, well, I have more than one. I have something for my body. I have something for my home. I want to meet a new mate. Pick one thing. Focus on one thing. I know you want to accomplish all those others, but whether it's your body,
tackle one at a time.
Yeah, the others will come, because it's not like, even though you're just focusing on this, it's like the universe will deliver all the things to get you that, but the other things will come too. So that's really important. Like, that's why I said, if it's food, whatever it is, I want to eat healthier, I want to cook, focus on that laser for the next 30 days. It doesn't mean you're going to give up working out or succeeding in your business, but just home in on that one thing.
That seems like it could apply with cooking too, Leticia. Like, if you accomplish one thing in the kitchen, it makes you maybe more confident to try other things.
Totally. Absolutely. And I think that that's a little bit of, our human nature. It's almost like when you set the bar here. Okay, so if you can jump, almost like that horse thing. Okay, now let's set the bar here. Now let's set the bar here. And it gets higher, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for answering all the questions. I think we got to everybody, which is great. You guys did that really fast. I was enjoying your conversation so much that I didn't want to interrupt for questions, because it was just like you guys are bouncing off of each other beautifully.
I feel like we could totally, I didn't even realize that 1 hour passed by. This could totally feel like, which was, and this is how we did in our podcast. You guys should check out Sandy's podcast. We have a conversation there too. It just flows in such an easy and smooth way. And that's when I love it so much. So thank you all. Thank you, Sandy. Thanks for everybody who came and show up, and for anybody who listens to this in a recorded version too. I hope that you enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. I have to tell you, I really enjoyed being able to see you ladies. This is like such a treat, because normally I'm talking to air, and I love that you guys ask questions. So thank you, Maggie, Sharon, and Melissa. I really appreciate it. It made the world a difference. Didn't it, Leticia? It did.
Totally. We want to connect. Feel free to reach out to, if you have any questions for recipes or tips, or, I'm so easy and approachable. You can find me on my website. There's my email right there. I am on Instagram posting about food almost every single day of my life, So it's, I'm really approachable, and I'd love to connect with everyone that showed up.
Yeah. By the way, in case anybody's looking for me, my middle name is Joy. So everything I'm under is Joy Weston. So everyone's like, I couldn't find you under Sandy Weston. My middle name really is Joy. It's Sandy Joy Weston. So you'll find me anywhere with that stuff too. And you will see me. Hey, I'll teach you the Irish jig. I did the Irish jig last night on Instagram. It was fun. Yeah, it's cool.
I have put both of your websites in the chat 2 different times. So hopefully people can just click on those and find you. And I also put a link to Sandy's podcast. So hopefully everybody can watch you guys from last time, or listen rather. A couple thank you notes from the audience. Maggie says you two should team up more often and reach more audiences. And Melissa, Melissa said thank you, and I think everybody really enjoyed it.
Good, cool.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks for your time, Sandy and Leticia. We'll say goodnight for now, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, toodles.
All right, bye everybody. Thank you.